All right, welcome, PERB 2203. So what we're going to do in this video lesson is we're going to do some warm-ups together. Okay, we're going to do some scales. We're going to do our new spider exercise, just like we do in class. Then we're going to cover the last half of lesson 11 in the Segura's book. That is page 46. And I know that the first half might have been a little bit confusing, so we're going to write some note names in to clarify things. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our spider exercise, okay? So go ahead and take your first finger, put it on the first fret of the B string, take your third finger and put it on the third fret of the low A string. And what we're going to do is, just like we covered in the last video, we're going to play 3 and 1, 2 and 4, and then replacing those for 1 and 3, 2 and 4 again, and then 1 and 3, 2 and 4, and then we're back at 3 and 1. So, okay. So I moved my arm a little bit there, so I'm gonna try one more time without moving my arm. Then you'll really feel the burn, right? Okay. So pretty different from our stretch exercise where we move 1, 2, 3, and 4 downward. That one burns in a different kind of way down here. But if you try not to move your arm during the spider, you'll feel some of the same muscles getting really tense, right? So especially right now, we're doing the 5th string and the 2nd string. If you do the top 2 strings, you're going to feel even more of a strain on the hand because of how far apart you're trying. So I'll show you that just so you can see what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like any better, but the goal is really not to move your arm too much. With strings 6 and 1, I mean, you really have to be right on top. And I do find my arm to move a little bit more than when I'm using strings 2 and 5. So let's try strings 2 and 5. If that's still too big for you, remember you can use strings 1 and 4 instead. It'll make slightly different sounds, right? The D string is not the same as the A string, and the B string is not the same as the E string. But I like 2 and 5. It's nice and big, but not too big that it really hurts too much. So let's go ahead and go nice and slow. Remember, it's 7 counts, and then we shift upward. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Go to 5, back to 4, back to 3, back to 1. It's really good to wake up the fingers this way, especially like right in the morning, like when you're just starting to play guitar. Well, I know you guys have lots of other things that you're doing, classes you're trying to pass. So let's do this. Everything was monodynamic then. Monodynamic meaning one dynamic. I played everything with the same right hand tension. So now we're going to try to play in 7. Okay, so usually in 7 you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or I'm sorry, in 7 it's 3 and 4. So it's either 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, or the other way around, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm feeling in a kind of salsa. Da, da, da. Let's do that one. So that's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So everybody just count that just vocally a few times. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now let's slow it down for our spider exercise. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Notice that I'm saying 1 louder because I want to emphasize those beats. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to take that and apply it here. So 1, 1, 2. Sorry. So this is. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then so on. So we're accenting 1, 1, and 1. We're just breaking it up into 2 groups of 2 and 1 group of 3. So it's going to go like this, nice and slow. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And of course, you can do this with any kind of accent that you want. If you wanted to do the other pattern, right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, you could do that. You could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So, what I like to do, not only with the spider, but just any exercise I do, I like to try it at multiple dynamics, right? So I like to try really soft, medium loud, really loud, and then I also like to try to accent things in different places. And I think that just helps your overall, understanding of adding expression to the other music that you're playing, right? It just helps you, technically. Okay, let's go ahead and run through our E minor melodic scale. We're going to do it, well, same thing, 2 tempos, okay? So I'll give the first tempo, then we'll go a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do like 8th note speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ready? 1, 2, here we go. Okay, so you guys should be able to do that pretty easily now. But yeah, so make sure that you're still working on your scales, your caruli, pretty much anything that we've learned in this semester and even last semester, right? Your Segura's book is excellent for making your right hand really even, okay? And just really, the sound that you want to go for in the right hand, not really naily, right? You want to go for a nice, big, warm sound. And all of these arpeggio studies are really good at building that. So in lesson 11, everybody go ahead and turn to page 46 in the Segura's book. I know that we went over this last time, but let's go ahead and just put our eyes on measure 7, okay? Make sure that everyone is playing that G sharp on the 4th fret, okay? Fingers 2 and 3 are going to be in that same area, like this, okay? So that's measure 9, rather. Okay. When we go above that, the melody is A, B, G sharp, A. The way that we're going to play that, so now we're looking at measure 10. We're going to play A with the 2nd finger, B with the 4th finger, and G sharp with the 1st finger with a low E at the same time. Okay? So we have 2 low E's, so it's going to go. Okay, so that measure's not too bad. Measure 11 is when we have the half bar on 5. While holding that in the next measure, we're going to play B, C, A, B, C, A. We're looking at the last measure of the 2nd line. So everybody go ahead and try B, C, A, which is 3, 4, 1. Okay, now we're going to add I and M so that we can add those voices underneath. So it's going to be 2 IMA plus, like this. Okay. All right, good. I think the next measure, I think that was fine and clearly explained. Okay. Well, I think everything else is pretty doable. Just wanted to clarify the notes that went a little higher in the ledger lines. Let's go ahead and put our eyes on measure 19. So we're going to talk about the last half, which is the next 2 lines on page 47. Okay, so right hand is going to start the same way it did, as well as left hand. So we have P and A, and then I and M. P moves to the D string, and you do the same pattern. Okay. So that's exactly the same as it started. The only difference is that we don't have that nice arpeggio that goes. But we do essentially have the same harmony. So measures 19 and 20 sound like this. The thumb. Okay, now let's take a look at measure 21. You're going to play A and C sharp like we've done before. This is not a new shape. So take your first finger and put it on A. Take your second finger and put it on C sharp. Take your fourth finger and put it on G, which is the third fret of the high string. We have a low A at the same time as we have this high G, so we're using fingers P and A to play that. So it's going to be P and A, and then we're going to use I and M to pluck the A and the C sharp that are in between. So measure 21 will sound like this. Not very hard. Okay, now take a look at measure 22. This is where we have the full bar. It says full bar, everyone. It doesn't have to be a full bar. So what they're suggesting is that you play a full bar on 5 with your second finger on the G string, okay? And they want you to play. However, this is harder to leave than if you just did a bar on 4. And you can play that low A, instead of playing it here, you can play it as an open string, right? So if you do a bar on 4 strings like this, it's easier to lift. It's easier to move all the way to this position, right? Whenever you have a full bar, it just automatically makes it harder to shift. So if you can recreate the same amount of voices without having to do a full bar, you want to do that because it's easier to move, right? Unless you're going for a really, really big sound that requires all 6 strings, or the gauge of that low string for the depth. But that's not the case here in measure, what are we in? 22 now. So that's not the case here. So I would use this finger. So I'll show you. Open A, bar on 4 strings, then put your second finger on the G string, and you're going to be playing C sharp. That's going to be your C sharp. So everybody in measure 22 with the bar on 5, it's going to be P and A at the same time. A, M, I, P, I, M. So I'll show you that a little bit closer in my right hand. Measure 22. P and A, M, I, move P to the next string, and then I, and then M again. Okay? So one more time. I'll try to get this a little bit. Kind of almost want to change my angle. Okay, that's a little bit better. P and A, M, I, P, I, M. Make sure to move your P to the D string and don't play A twice. So all the way through it'll go. Okay, let's take a look at measure 23. This is the measure after the bar. This one's actually pretty easy. Take your second finger, put it on the A string. Take your fourth finger, put it on the open, not the A string, I'm sorry, the G string on A, second fret. Take your pinky and go ahead and put it on D on the next string. And then you're going to actually play open E as it is. So this is a D suspended, right? This is a D sus2. For those of you who have that jazz or chord chart knowledge. Okay, here we go. So we have D and E at the same time, P and A. Then we're going to be plucking the A and the D with fingers I and M. So it's going to be P and A, and then I and M are going to pluck the accompanying notes. However, if you notice, it goes E, F in the top voice, E, F. So you're going to have to use your A finger twice to play that simultaneous with the I and M. So like this. P and A, I, M, and A, and then just I and M, okay? So it'll look like this. Okay, the next time that you pluck, you don't have to do I, M, and A, it's just I and M. So one more time. Next measures, we hold everything and just pluck your open A, and then use I and M again. So that F is holding for 5 beats all the way through the next measure. As you can see, the F is a half note and it's tied to a dotted half note, which is 3 beats, so that's 5 total. So I'll play those 2 measures back to back. Okay. Pay attention here. Take your pinky, go ahead and find B on the 7th fret of your high E string. 2 and 3 are going to go on the next strings, okay? 2 and 3 are going to be playing D and F, right, while our pinky is on this high B. So it's kind of a shocking sounding chord, right? It's a diminished shape, actually. Okay, so go ahead and play your open D with your thumb, and your A finger's ready to play this melodic note, okay? Then we have a dotted rhythm, so it's going to sound like this. So So the top voice, not thinking about the thumb, is going A, I and M, A, and then I and A together. I'll say that one more time. A, I and M, A, and then I M A all together. Altogether, the notes are D, F, and B, which is a B diminished chord. So I'll do that, just the top voice. A, I M, A, I M A. Okay, now let's add the low voice. It's just ringing at the beginning. Okay, one more time. Take a look at the next line of music, and this is where I want everybody to actually take a pencil. Okay, so take a pencil and go ahead and in measure 26, those three notes, go ahead and label them D, C, and B. Okay, so I know this is a little bit higher than what we're used to reading, but go ahead and label those D, C. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, D, C, B. Yeah, that's correct. D, C, B. So it'll look like that. D, C, B. Okay, I'm going to show you where to play those notes on the guitar. So D is all the way up here on the 10th fret of the high E string. You're going to play C with second finger, and you're going to play B with first finger. So it's 4, 2, 1, just like the fingering is written there. And you have a low D at the same time. So go ahead. Ooh, and it says A-M-I for the fingering. So instead of alternating I and M, go ahead and try A-M-I. This is how we get the tremolo technique, right? Right, by working that combination. Go ahead. A-M-I, or if we're saying the names, D, C, B, if we're saying the finger numbers, yeah. Okay, so go ahead and look at measure 27. This is actually easy and in range, so go ahead and play your low E, play your high E, and then your second and first finger are going to find A and C, just like we've done 100 times before, okay? So P and A together. But remember, go ahead and use fingers 1 and 3 because we're going to need 2 in the next measure. So I'll do that one more time. We're looking at measure 27. Let's try 26 and 27 together. So find your high D one more time. Get ready to pluck your open D. Here we go. 4, 2, 1. Okay. Notice that I slid downward. You don't have to release the pressure. Actually, you can't release the pressure. Keep the pressure and then take it down the strings like that. So I'll start at measure 26 again. That's what that little line indicates there. So it's 4, 2, slide, and then open E. Okay? One more time. And then you have 3 and 1 playing A and C. Look at measure 28. Go ahead and put your second finger down on E, which is on the D string. Now all 3 fingers are down. We have another low E, and we're going to use the A finger to pluck the open E, the high E. So it's going to be just like measure 2 of the piece. Open E and open E together in this measure. You have D and G sharp, so move your first finger to G sharp and play open D with G sharp with fingers I and M like this. Okay. So from the beginning of that measure, E's, I and M, and then use P, M, and I to play D, G sharp, and open D. So that's going to be like that, P, I, M, pluck. So go ahead and play your low E string and your high E string one more time. P and I, P, I, and M. So P just moves over to the D string one more time. If you don't like that, you can use P and A, I and M, and I, M, and A. It doesn't matter what group 3 you use. You can use P, I, M, or I, M, A, but just make sure you're playing the correct strings. Okay, now you have E, open B, then you have D, G sharp, and D, which looks like this. Open D, first finger on G sharp, fourth finger on D, and you're going to have E, B, and then D, G sharp, and D, 5, followed by D and G sharp, which you can play with P and I. Okay, so let's play those two measures together. We're looking at measures 29 and 30. The next measure is going to be A's, so low A and second finger on the G string. A, cover your notes so that there's a rest. Then play E, G sharp, B, and open E as a PIMA pluck. Then we quickly have to go and find a half bar in the last measure on the fret 5. Then we're going to play A along with I, M, and A together. So this is a very staple kind of, kind of brilliant, quick show-offy ending. Okay, so the last two beats are, right, if you're going in tempo. Okay, cool. So now that we've walked through the whole piece, I'm going to play through all of it slowly, not just measure 19. So I'm going to start at the very beginning. When I get to measure 19, I will say measure 19 so that you guys can find where I am. Okay, so from the very beginning, I'm going to play slow, and then I'm going to play it a little bit faster for those who want to listen, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and play that tiempo de vals. So when I'm thinking tiempo de vals, I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try that tempo. Okay, so I think this is actually really fun to play. I've never actually played this before, but it's really cool. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and we can set up a Zoom call, because I know this is a lot to go over in one session, compared to learning, a study that goes, with a really easy repetitive pattern. This one's not as repetitive, and that's why it's a little bit hard. I really like measure 15, the little... Sounds really Spanish, right? So hopefully you guys have fun playing that. If you have any questions, we can set up individual meetings to work on this. But for this week, there's no video submission. So this is a good week to just kind of catch up on, making sure the Caruli Sonatina is in shape, making sure this is in shape, making sure lesson 3 in book 2 is in shape. Any of the recent stuff we've been working on, as well as, music that I know that you're all working on outside of this, okay? All right, excellent. So I'm actually going to send 2 videos this week, so I will see you guys next time.